Dienstag ist Dilemmatag. Hello and welcome to another episode of Tuesday is Dilemma Day. A new virtual expansion is on the horizon. It's called Ships of the Line. It will be released this Friday, August the 11th. And as has become good tradition, you will find a spoiler of a brand new unreleased card on our little show today. But that's not enough. We'll also have a look at what you can do with the dilemma that has been revealed today. And I'm also going to announce the winner of the competition we did last time. If you remember, I asked you for your favorite civilian. There were several very interesting answers, but the random winner is Florian Huber, whose answer was Gareb, the double empathy geology support personnel that was quite popular at the time of quantum incursions. All right, let's have a look at what we can do with today's dilemma. As you can see, we're going to send Jonathan Archer's Enterprise into the fray. We'll attempt a space mission with a good-sized crew of 8 personnel. We'll have a look at the bottom seed card, and it is Thasian Powers. If you don't know this one, it's a really interesting one in that it gives you a choice. It starts out with a baseline requirement of cunning greater than 40, but it's increased by 5 for each card in your hand. So as you can see, I've got 5 cards in my hand now, meaning to beat it right now, I need 65 cunning. Now the 8 personnel aboard the ship combine to an overall cunning total of 53. Meaning to beat it, I need to discard 3 cards to get the requirement down to 50, or I just take the stop and then think on my next turn what I want to do. Now, in this case, we want to press forward. So what can we discard here? Markham Reed, Officer Security. I've got several of these in the crew, so we'll pitch him. Phlox with Medical. Yeah, we can also pitch him. Commander T'Pol, Science Engineer Officer Security, she's got a lot, so let's keep her. HQ Secure Homeworld, we might want to use to attempt Earth. If we pitch it, we simply couldn't attempt the mission, so let's keep that. So let's ditch the Draw Engine card to get the requirement down to 50, and then we can beat it. But we're down to 2 hand cards now. And this is where the new dilemma that has been revealed today comes in. It's called Distracting Technology. You can read the details on the TrekCC page. The important thing is it is placed on the ship and it has a countdown of 3. Now, if that ship happens to be a 22nd century ship or a original series ship, then all those personnel with that icon aboard are stopped. So in this case, that would stop all of our guys. Other decks won't have that problem, they won't have to take that stop, but they will still be affected by that dilemma now being on the ship. And this is really interesting. Whenever you want to attack or voluntarily move, you have to discard 2 cards from hand. So, if on our next turn we want to attempt that mission again, let's see what happens. We have a Love Scow. First of all, a female runs off. Let's find a female. That's Erica Hernandez. She runs off to the furthest planet, so let's just ditch her. And then we need to come up with 2 engineer to get this cow out of the way. Let's see, 2 engineer, can we do that? We've got De Vela and we've got Charles Tucker. So yes, we do have 2 engineer. So we can get that ship out of that cow out of the way. Pull it over to here, but now we are voluntarily moving our ship. We have to discard those 2 cards. And now you can see the problem. If we want to go back to the mission, we simply can't do that because now we are all out of hand cards and our ship is stuck here. Of course, we can simply remedy that by playing another ship, but there are several decks that don't play a lot of ships and that they can get into a lot of trouble and they will have no other choice other than sit out that countdown and wait what they can do later then. So there are a couple of things that you can do with this, and of course it gets more powerful if you combine it with other elements in your deck or dilemma setup that have some synergy with that. And I'm going to show you a couple of things that you could do here. One of the things is that you play something like a minion disintegration protocol. This is a dilemma that usually kills a guy because you will always have a engineer or security. And then you could combine this with valuable prisoner. You take that engineer or security personnel captive. And this one also conveniently lets you download a capture card. We'll go for psychological pressure. Now, what does this do? Whenever you have to meet the requirements of a dilemma or a mission, and one of your personnel is a captive that has one of those skills that the mission or dilemma asks for, then you have to discard a card from hand. And if you have a look at a minion, it first kills a security, which can be captured then, or an engineer, and then you still need that same skill to beat the dilemma. So in this case, psychological pressure would kick in and force you to discard more cards. If you run a whole dilemma setup of these things, then with psychological pressure, you can force a discard here, a discard there. With the new dilemma, you can force them to discard cards when they want to move around. And of course, there's even stuff like good old static warp bubble. It isn't played a lot. It's still legal. Most people don't run it because there is an easy ref card. But so many people play without ref cards these days, it's well worth a shot to include it and force a discard at the end of the turn. So this is a dilemma, this new one, that doesn't outright kill people or destroy ships, but rather it gets annoying. It puts some pressure on your opponent, because many people, especially those who try to build relatively compact, slim decks, close to the minimum, they often agonize over which cards can I discard, which cards should I keep for later, and they will find it quite difficult to ditch certain cards, when usually the best choice is to not worry about anything like that. Just ditch your cards as if you had never drawn them and just move on. All right, so that's something that you can do with the new dilemma that has been revealed today, but I promised you a brand new spoiler as well. So let's get rid of all that Starfleet stuff here and have a look at this beauty here. That's the Dyson Sphere door. It's a doorway I don't often use myself, but it's really interesting. It works like a sideboard of dilemmas that you can then download using other cards, using other dilemmas. And this is where my spoiler for today comes in. It is a dual dilemma, meaning you can see it at the planet or at the space mission. It's called Promethean Quartz. The lore reads, a mysterious crystal found in the Gamma Quadrant by Vash was later revealed to be an egg of a spaceborne life form. And the game text is as follows. Opponent may download and seed a self-controlling dilemma here. Full stop. Unless exobiology, science and cunning greater than 40, or archaeology, engineer and strength greater 40, crew or away team stopped, discard dilemma. And it has the Star Trek Deep Space Nine property logo. So, it's a dilemma that can potentially stop the ship for a turn. Well, that's not a big deal. What is really interesting here is that it lets you download a self-controlling dilemma. There are several options, and they don't often make the cut because some of them are very situational. But with this one here, you get a choice of downloading one after the game has started, after you have seen the spaceline layout. And this is especially interesting, I think, when you deal with different quadrants. For example, let's have a setup here where we have a deck that runs 4 missions in the mirror quadrant and 2 in the alpha quadrant. Let's just put them over here. And let's use the popular Klingon-Cardassian alliance here. They want to attempt a space mission, and they hit this new dilemma here. What we can do then is have a choice of different self-controlling dilemmas that we have in our sideboard and pick the one that is useful in this situation. Now, what I would do here is run a dilemma first that lets you have a look at your opponent's crew or away team. Maybe the M113 creature that lets you have a choice kill in most situations, or something like Caretaker's Guests, or a fast ship would be nice, or Kelvin Show of Force, or anything like that, because then you will be able to see the skills and attribute total of your opponent's crew or away team, and then you can decide, do I want to stop this ship for the turn by eliminating one of those skills if they have them, or will I let them continue to the next dilemma, which will then be the self-controlling one that you seed, and have that dilemma do bad stuff. For example, let's assume we have taken this here as our introductory dilemma, the M113 creature. We then get to look at our opponent's crew here and kill one of these guys. As we see, there is exobiology and science. There is no archaeology, but with exo and science, they can beat Promethean Quartz. So we could either now kill this science guy or this exobiology guy to stop the ship for a turn, or we'll just kill somebody else. Let's just get rid of Kira. And then they still have the requirements to beat the dilemma, and then they will run into the self-controlling dilemma that we have seeded. And as you can see, now we've got some very nice options. We could play the Borg ship dilemma. It starts at the furthest spaceline end, which would be over here on this short mirror quadrant spaceline. You don't often play Borg ship in a regular deck as a normal dilemma because you can't really plan for it to hit anything at the correct moment. But in this case, when you can pull it out very flexibly, you just put it here. Our opponent will probably be stopped by the last dilemma if you pick a wall like, I don't know, Scientific Method or Faux Pas or anything like that. Their ship will be stopped at the end of the turn. The Borg ship moves over. Weapons of 24 will result in a direct hit. The entire ship will be destroyed. You can also pick cards like the Shellyak. Again, a dilemma that in its new form isn't often played. It's too hard to plan. But if you find yourself playing against a Delta Quadrant deck, or missions in the Gamma Quadrant, or missions in the Mirror Quadrant, and the rest of the table is mostly in the Alpha Quadrant, then you have really good options of pulling out something that will hurt your opponent very, very much. You could even go for something like Assimilated Vessel for 10 bonus points for yourself, because it will move off the spaceline relatively quickly, and if that's the missing points that you need to get to 100, then you can do this on your opponent's turn and win the game maybe right there. And there is also stuff like the Cheronium Cloud creature, which of course would only work on a planet, but it's good for several kills. And this is, in my opinion, one of the beauties of this new card, that it gives you a lot of flexibility. Yes, you will probably want to run the Dyson Sphere Door in order to stock several options, but this flexibility to react during the game and not have things decided in the planning phase when you conceive your deck, this is something that, especially for very experienced players, can be a huge advantage. All right, that's it so far. If you have any good ideas about how to use these dilemmas, please let me know in the comments. And if you're at all interested in seeing this game played, please tune in this Saturday when there is Kaiserfest 6. We'll have the European Continental Championships. We'll see about a live stream. If the live stream doesn't work, you will definitely get recordings of a few games a couple of days later. All right. If you haven't done so, please like or subscribe to this channel and expand your power in the universe.